Hey everybody, and welcome to the Wolfe Pit. Today I'm going to make a hearty, rich, and delicious meat and cheese lasagna. It's full of vegetables, full of meat, full of cheese, and most of all, full of flavor. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the cheese filling with a couple of eggs. And I like to use cottage cheese in my lasagna over ricotta cheese. It has more moisture in it, it's chunkier, and it's less expensive. Now to the eggs and the ricotta, we're going to add mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, spinach, salt and pepper, and then we're going to give this a good mix with our hands. Once everything is thoroughly combined, it's time to make the lasagna. I use just regular lasagna noodles and I do not boil them. These are not the no-boil noodles. These are just regular lasagna noodles. So I do not know if this recipe will work with no-boil noodles because I've added a lot of moisture in this recipe in the sauce and the cheese mixture. So if you do this recipe, please use regular lasagna noodles and do not cook them. I'm going to start by ladling some meat sauce onto the bottom of our 9x13 casserole dish. And I'll leave a recipe for the meat sauce at the end of the video. Now I'm adding our 3 regular uncooked lasagna noodles, and it's very important for this recipe that you do not cook the noodles, otherwise you're going to have a runny mess. And I'm only using 3.5 on the bottom because of the taper in the dish. On the next layers we'll add 4.5. Now add half of the cheese mixture on top of the noodles and spread it out evenly. Now add a nice even layer of the meat sauce on top of the cheese. And now for our next layer, I'm going to add 4.5 more noodles. Now evenly spread out the remaining cheese mixture. And another layer of our meat sauce. And 4.5 more lasagna noodles to complete our last layer of noodles. And more meat sauce on top of our noodles. And now I'm going to cover with foil and put into a 350-degree oven for 1 hour. While that's in the oven, let's get started on dessert. And today I'm going to use a recipe from my good friend Rosie over at iHeart Recipes, buttermilk pound cake. And I'll put a link to this recipe in the description box. Rosie is the YouTube queen of comfort and soul foods. Go over and check her out at iHeart Recipes and tell her Larry sent you. And after 1 hour in a 350-degree oven, our lasagna is almost done. Now we're going to top it with some mozzarella cheese, and we're going to pop it back in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes until the cheese is melted and a little bit golden brown. And now our lasagna is done, and we're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes for everything to set up and cool off just a bit before we slice into it. Otherwise, you're going to have a gloppy mess on your plate. There you have it, a very hearty and delicious lasagna full of meat, cheese, vegetables. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you give this a try, and we'll see you next time.